Hello, welcome to the Everyman Puppet Theatre. My name is Laura-Ann Ewald. I'm the founder of and puppeteer for the Everyman Puppet Theatre, and welcome to our Let's Make a Puppet series. What we're going to do today is we're going to make a rod puppet out of paper products, something that you, I'm sure, have at your house. We are going to use toilet paper rolls. Yes, you can make a rod paper out of toilet paper rolls. I have some examples here. You can make little people, you can make little animals, and right now we're going to make a sister to these two brothers, and we're going to make a little cat. So let's get started on our rod puppets. First of all, we take our toilet paper roll, and what you have to do is you have to stuff it with something solid. Let me tell you all the materials you need. You need the toilet paper roll. You need paper towel, preferably torn into half sheets so that you can just do a little bit at a time. You need lots of colored paper, assortment of colored paper. You need glue stick, and you also need white glue. Now for this demonstration I'm actually going to be using hot glue, but you need some kind of glue, either hot glue or white glue. I'm using hot glue simply because it's faster, and if you use white glue it takes a long time to dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this tube, and we're going to stuff it with pieces of paper towel. And what you want to do is you want to wad it up, make it nice and soft, and then you want to, when you wad it up the final time, you want to tuck it in on all the edges so that at the end you have a nice round smooth spot, and that's what goes down. That's what you want on the end, so you have something to glue to. The middle ones don't really matter, so you can just wad them up and stuff them in. You can get about 4 halves of paper towel into one toilet paper tube. And the reason we're doing this is that the tube is very soft and very flimsy, and if you don't stuff it with something, you end up having it squish out. So that was 3. The fourth one, like the first one, you want to fold it or wad it up so that all the sides are going in towards the center, so that again you have a smooth top that you can put on the outside so that you can glue to it. Now once it's stuffed in there, you want to use your thumbs and really squish it tight. Now it'll pop out a little bit, but you want it to be nice and snug. Actually, I could probably put another piece of paper towel in there. And if you have a little dent and you need more paper towel, you can always take a piece of paper towel and just cut off a half a piece. And again, since it's the end piece, we'll wad it from the outside and take it around, so we have a smooth surface sticking out. There, so we have 4.5 this time. You're going to need several strips of colored paper. I have a strip for my face, I have a strip for the shirt, I have a strip for the blue jeans, then I have a strip that's kind of raggedy around it that's going to be the under hair. I have a strip for the belt. This is a little girl, she's going to have a pink belt. I have a wildly cut hair piece for the hair, and I'll show you this in a minute and what goes on. And I have some arms and some hands cut. Okay, so as we go, the first thing we do is make sure everything's stuffed in there nicely. First thing we're going to want to do is roll the skin around the top. You put the face on the bottom, then you put the shirt on, and then you put the pants on. And if they aren't exactly smooth around, you don't have to worry about it because we're going to cover up the seam with the belt. So we have our various strips of paper. It's always a good idea to put a plain sheet of paper on your table so when you're using a glue stick, it doesn't get all over the table. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the head. I'm using the purple glue stick, but you don't have to. The purple glue stick is purple when you put it on and it dries clear. So I like it because it tells me where my glue is. But you can certainly use any kind of glue stick. And you want to get it all over, especially on the edges. And then the straightest edge should go at the top of the puppet. And hopefully you're going to be lining up with the top of the roll. That's the plan anyway. And if it's not perfect, you don't have to worry about that because it's going to have all sorts of things to cover it up. So I have my face. Well, my face and my shoulders, and so now I'm going to put the shirt on. In this case, I'm giving her a shirt that's got a collar on it. I just folded this together and rounded off one corner so I have a collar. These guys, I bended it back and put it together in front so it looks like it's a button-up shirt. You can do all sorts of things with it. So I'm going to put glue on this one. Again, the same thing. I want to make sure I get the edges. I'm running out of glue. And then I want to look for the seam in this first piece, so I have that at the back of the puppet, so that her collar is somewhere towards the front. And then you put it on the front, and then you roll it around from both sides, which gets all the air pockets out of it. And then press it down. This is why we put stuffing in the tube, because if you press down it with no stuffing in it, it'll get real flat. Okay, I've got some edges sticking up, then I'm going to go back and add a little more glue to it to make sure it stays down. I'm using kind of stiff paper right now, so it tends to pop up again. There, close enough. So now I know where the front of the puppet is because that's where the collar comes down on the shirt. And my seams are both, you can see them, they're both on the back. Now I'm going to put her jeans on, which is just a strip of blue paper. Going to do the same thing. Lots of glue stick. And the good thing is if you get it all over yourself, it'll wash right off because it's water soluble. Now, just like on the top, you want the straightest edge of your paper to be at the bottom so it lines up with the bottom of the tube. What's in the middle doesn't matter because we're going to cover that up with a belt. So I've got my edge at the bottom, which is nice and smooth. She has long legs and a short torso for some reason. They have short legs and a long torso. It depends on what happens when you put it together. There is no right or wrong, by the way. You just keep putting things together. This is a general technique, and you put it together. And if it's not quite right this time, then make another one. So now I want to take care of the seam between the white and the blue. So I'm going to put this pink belt on her. Wow. Very pink. Now I'm going to have the belt come together in front, and then I'm going to put a piece of paper on that makes it look like a buckle. So where's my belt? So I want to make sure I cover up the entire edge of the blue, and I'm trying to save as much of the white as I can. And the good news is that it doesn't dry completely very quickly, so you still have a little bit of room to fudge around with it and move it up and down. So now she has a belt on. And I don't mind seeing the overlap in that because I'm going to put a belt buckle on it. For the buckle, I just got a piece of yellow little piece of yellow, and I'm going to put some glue on it. Whoops. I have as much glue on my fingers as I do on the paper. That's a problem. So now she has a belt buckle on her belt. Now I might even get a little bit fancier and actually give her, I could give her belt loops in her jeans, or I could say she's wearing a denim skirt instead of pants. So maybe I'll do it that way this time. Now next up I have to give her some feet. So I'll move her back there right now. I pre-cut this. What you want to use is cardboard, and this came off of, you can see it a little bit, this actually came off of a cereal box, and that works very fine. It's stiff, but not too stiff. It's easy to cut with scissors. And all I did was trace around the bottom of my tube and put a couple tabs on it for feet. So I want to give her pink shoes to match her pink belt. To do that, I'm just going to take some of the pink paper and I'm going to put glue where the feet go. Put pink paper, and you're going to want to do it at the edge of the paper, so make sure you're not cutting out of the middle of the paper. And I'm going to squish it on there really hard. And then I'm just going to take a small pair of scissors and cut around your feet. First I'll cut the big piece off. And then you can see I have a guide to cut the pink paper because it's got the glue stuck on it. So I'll just go around the edges with my scissors. Around one set of toes, both directions. Come on there. It's harder to cut it backwards than it is to frontwards, but and when you get to the middle here, you've got my feet here, I can just pull this up like that, and then I can use my scissors and cut it off, because this is going to be hidden by when we get done gluing it together. So I have two pink shoes, and I have to stick it on the bottom like this. Okay, now that we either have a skirt or jeans or a belt and a shirt, it's time to put the feet on. But before we put the feet on, we have to decide which kind of stick we want to put in our rod puppet. You can use all sorts of things. For these I use the wide craft sticks that you get in, well, you can get them in Walmart or any place else where they sell craft supplies. Popsicle sticks work. I didn't get around to eating a popsicle this week, so I don't have that, but I went and I found some other craft sticks. These are kind of cool. These are just little, they look like they're about 1/4 inch by about 4 inches, 5 inches maybe. These are nice craft sticks. You can also use part of a skewer. These are skewers. You get them in the store where they're selling stuff for barbecuing. They put chicken on a stick and things like that on these skewers. That's what I use for the dog because it has a nice sharp point on the end of it. I could just stick it into his belly button and go for it. In this case, I'm going to use this stick. Now, once you decide what stick to use, then you know how much room to give the stick. Before you put the feet on, pick it up. Don't want to pick up. Before you put the feet on, you have to flatten the back of it as much as you need to get your stick in. In this case, it's not a very big stick, so I'm just going to take a little bit of the end off right opposite the feet. Just flatten it out a little bit. And then all will be filled up with glue. So what I did, I just cut the back off it so it's flat. If you don't do that, you don't have any place to put the stick. So then I want to put the feet on. Now this is where you're going to use white glue as opposed to glue stick. You have to put a lot of glue in this. For this demonstration, I'm going to use hot glue rather than the regular white glue, and I only do that because it takes so long to dry. Once you've really glued this together, put a lot of glue in there to make sure everything sticks. You have to hold it that way for a good half hour, 45 minutes if it's going to be dry enough before you can play with it. And so I'm not going to take that kind of time today. I'm going to use hot glue instead. If you do use hot glue, and you want to do this with grown-up participation, you want to use the cool hot glue. Hot glue comes in two temperatures now, cool hot and hot hot. I have a glue gun here that has a trigger on the side here that goes hot is up and cool is down. It does dual temperature. The glue is now dual temperature, so you want to work with the cool hot glue because you won't burn yourself that way. It's still hot, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't stick and then raise blisters. Instead, it's just, you can just roll it off your fingers. Now I'm going to look at the bottom here. If I have my feet in the right place, my little slit is not quite big enough, so I'm going to cut just a little bit more off the end of this. So there's room for my stick. So I'm going to look at the front of this, which my belt buckle is, and just opposite that is where I'm going to put the stick. And it doesn't have to go in more than, I'd say 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch, because these puppets are not very heavy. You put your stick in place, then you figure out where you're going to put your feet. Make sure you have the right color up. I've done it backwards before. And then you're going to just put lots and lots of glue on this. Again, if it's something with white glue, you're going to have to put books or some heavy weight to hold it in place while it dries. If you do that, be sure to put wax paper between your puppet and whatever you're using for a weight, because otherwise you're going to get white glue all over everything. So I'm going to go ahead, just put a lot of glue on this. You get it around the stick, you get it around the edge. And if it all comes out of the edges, it doesn't matter. You can wipe it off or cut it off after it dries. Make sure my pink is showing the other direction. Make sure I've got my feet facing the right direction. Not quite right. With cool hot glue, unlike hot glue and white glue, you don't have much time. Once you put it in place, it's there unless you want to cut it off. So, but once it's in place and it's glued all the way, it's there and it's not going to go anywhere. So I have a puppet on a stick. You might notice she's missing something. What's she missing? Yes, she has no hair. So I have to put something on her head. Now this is where I have to decide if I want to do blue jeans or if I want to do a skirt. And I think I'm going to go ahead and give her, I'll let her be in a skirt. We'll just leave her like that. For the hair, I use 2 layers of hair. I want to give her some long hair because this is a girl and she wanted her to have long hair. You can see my guy is this way too. Underneath there's some hair that goes around the same color around the head that you glue on just one solid piece. And then the scraggly stuff you have to actually cut. It's a very tedious job, but it looks really good when you get it done. So what I have here is I have my piece of underhair. Underhair, that sounds like a good word. And I'm going to glue it on to the back. It's going to actually stick down over her. She's got longer hair. And what I want to make sure is that I have it centered. Now how do I get it centered? Well, I folded a piece of paper in half. I cut this with those kind of crinkly scissors, so I got the texture on it. Then I know where the back of the puppet is because that's where the stick is, and then that's where the seams are in the back of the fabric or the paper, and so I can go ahead and glue this. Lots of glue. Lots of glue so it won't come off. And then I'm going to look for the front of the puppet and look at all my seams, and I'm going to put the seam of the hair in the right place, which I didn't do, With this glue stick, you can move things after you put it down, if just a little bit, until it dries. So it's even worse than the first time. You can also mark it, which is a good idea, which I didn't do this time. That's close enough. And again, I've got the paper lined up with the top of the tube. And now she has hair in the back. But I want to put a lid on her, and I'd like to put some hair on. You don't have to do the hair over the top, but I want to put some hair over the top so she looks like she has long hair. Now what I did was I drew a circle from the tube on this paper, and then I just went crazy with my straight scissors and I just made it all shaggy. I will glue it where the circle is drawn with the short part in front for the bangs, and then I'll be able to bend it down so she's got long shaggy hair all the way around. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure that my paper is really shoved down, because it's going to push out too much. You got to make sure it doesn't show over the top of the tube. It's all inside there. And then again, I would use white glue for this, except I'm going to use hot glue today. And I'm just going to put lots of glue in her head. Around the edges. Find what I think is the front of the hair and put it on like that. Now I'm just going to put her upside down and hold it down firmly until the glue dries. Now again, this is by white glue. This is going to take a good half hour or so before it's stiff enough and it's dry enough that you can use it. Once I've got the hair on, she looks a little funny, doesn't she? I'm going to put a little bead of glue around the top, and then I'm going to fold down her locks. And I can do this with white glue or hot glue. And I won't go all the way around at once. I'll just go a little ways at a time. And what this does is cover up the fact that you're at the top of a tube. You can't just take a piece of paper and fold it over like that, because it'll get all wrinkled, because you're going in a round circle, and so you need to. Again, I'm going to put some more glue around this tube. And I'm going to fold it down. I'll do about half at a time. Then I'm going to fold the hair down. So it makes her look shaggy. She's got hair sticking out. And if you want it more or less, you can put more glue further down. Fold it a little flatter. Let me get her bangs, because her bangs are looking like mine do when I cut them too short. They just stick straight out. And I don't want to plaster down to her brow, but now my glue stick, my rod actually happens to be loose right now. So I'm going to take it out, put a whole bunch of hot glue in the hole, and put it back in. That should do it eventually. And I can put some more around the edges too. Okay. See, with a cool hot glue, you can actually touch it with your fingers and just roll it off, and it doesn't burn you. Hot glue, it will burn you. It will raise blisters. Okay, now the last thing I need is a face. Actually, I have to do a little more glue around the bottom here because it's coming up. I might have stuffed this just a little bit too much. better. So, I want a face. I can start out pretty easily by having a couple of just plain white balls. Okay? I do that by just using a one-hole puncher. And that'll give me 2 white round circles. It's perfect in size for this particular size puppet. Let me find them. And all I have to do is put some glue on them. Figure out where her eyes should be. There's one eye. Get the glue off my fingers. There is the other eye. No, you could go up just a little bit. There you go. So I have 2 eyes. The rest of this I'm just going to draw on with pens. So now I have the whites of her eyes, and I'm going to color them in with eyeballs, and I'm going to give her a nose and give her a mouth. I'm just going to do that with pens. Now I have a whole collection of pens here. The only thing you have to be careful of when you're doing a puppet that's this small is you want to make sure you have pointed pens, not the big marking pens. But I'm going to take my black pen, and I'm going to give her eyeballs within her whites. So I'll just do a little round black spot in the middle on both sides. And if you do what you think of as messing up and you want to redo it, you can go ahead and cut out another piece of the flesh fabric, and you can glue it over the top and redraw her face. I did that 3 times on one of the other puppets, and it doesn't matter. So there she's got her eyes. Now, for her nose, I'll get something about the same color as this. And I'll just draw a little nose. Just a little bit of a nose. And then she needs a mouth. And since she obviously likes pink, I'll give her pink lips. And I'm just going to give her a smile. And there she is. She has a face. She has her hair, she has her body. What's she missing now? She doesn't have any arms, right? So let's do some arms. Straight arms are pretty easy. For her arms, I cut one strip like this, so it's a straight arm, and I cut one that was bent like this, so she has another arm. So we have 2 arms. Her hands, all I did was fold a piece of paper, and I cut a little mitten out, okay? By folding it, both my hands are exactly the same size and shape. I just have to remember when I put them on her that they're facing in opposite directions. Sometimes you see people with thumbs down, but that's not where we usually are. If you look at your hand against side, put your hand on your side, you realize your thumb is facing forward, or it's facing up when your hand is up. So we have to make sure our thumbs are facing in the right direction for these arms. So if her left arm is straight, then her thumb is going to be forward, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. A little bit of glue on the wrist, and put the sleeve on it. Now this is where you have to be careful because you want to make sure you get the other one just the opposite. And I've been known to put 2 right hands together and I have to do it all over again. So this is the left hand, thumb up. So the right hand is going to be thumb up on the opposite side of the arm. So I make sure I glue on the right side of the wrist. And I just tried to do it wrong again. It's really easy to get confused about the hands. Now the outside looks okay, it's got a sleeve and a hand, but the inside has kind of got this funny hand. All you have to do is put a little more glue on it, find a little white piece of paper, or whatever color you're using for your sleeve. Put a little glue on it. Cover up the wrist from the other side and then just use scissors to trim it off so it matches the sleeve. And you don't have to do the whole arm, you just have to do enough to cover up the wrist. So now on both sides it's covered with white. And I'll do the same thing for this one. That's way too long. Just enough to cover it up. Then I use my scissors to trim it up. So now the left hand is also covered up. I'm kind of moving off, put more glue on it. Sometimes you might have to put more glue on your patch. There you go. Okay, so I have a left arm and I have a right arm. So now I just have to put her arms on. And you don't have to do the whole arm, you just do the shoulder. Put a little patch of glue on the shoulder. Make sure you got the right thumb facing the right direction. This is her right arm is straight down. Her shoulder is really up towards the top of the shirt. So there's her left arm. Might be a little long, but it'll be all right. And if you don't like it, pull it off and change it. I do that a lot. And the other one goes about the same place, opposite side. So there she is. She's got a smile, she's got a face, she's got her eyeball, she's got long hair that's kind of shaggy. She's got a left arm and a right arm. And she's got pink shoes and a pink belt and a yellow bucket. And I think I'm leaving her with a skirt, a denim skirt instead of jeans. But if I wanted to do jeans, I did just like I did with this one. I just do a blue line down the middle to make it look like he's wearing pants instead of, you don't actually do separate legs. You just do a line down, that works too. Okay? So that's it. That's a simple rod puppet made with, it's only a toilet paper tube, some paper towels, some different colored paper, some kind of a stick, and a bunch of glue. You've got yourself a rod puppet. Thank you for joining me for the Everyman Puppet Theatre. Let's make puppets. This is our rod puppet, our paper rod puppet, and we'll be looking for you next time with our next video in the series. Goodbye.